first day filming?
Now, there was nothing funny about the first day filming. No. But the final network audition was kind of interesting because I was very sick. I think I must have been running 104-degree temperature. And I had a wild flu, terrible. And I wasn't that invested, so I just thought, you know, you're gonna have to quarantine me in another room and I'm just gonna go in. And I went in and it was a scene between Tuvok and Janeway. And then it was Janeway's speech, "We are lost in an uncharted part of the universe." And when I was finished, I looked. There must have been maybe 70 people watching me. And I just turned to Rick Berman. I didn't know that he was Rick Berman, and I said, "You know, I have a temperature. I'm not feeling well. And don't you think this part was made to order for me?" And he just laughed. I said, "I have to go home to my children. I gotta take a nap. I'll see you." And 4 days later, because it was Yom Kippur, and everything shuts down in Hollywood, New York, high Jewish holidays. When Yom Kippur was over, and I came home, my children and my housekeeper were on the front porch saying, "Get out of the car." This is my housekeeper, not my children. "Signora, get to the phone. Answer the messages on the phone. You have to play. I said, "I'm not interested." "Signora, if you know what you go to, get in there and you play those messages. You do that now." So I go in. I get this message, I get that, and I get this message. "Miss Mulgrew, this is Rick Berman calling from Paramount Studios, and I just wanted to say, welcome aboard, Captain." I said to my children and to my Mexican nanny, "On your knees!" Down we fell, signing the cross, "Our Father, now let's get the champagne." And that was the beginning of it. So that was good. And the rest of it was good. But thank you, sweetie. Thank you. Do what I told you to do. Stand tall. And when you walk past men, get taller. Yes.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
A comment and a question. I came and saw you yesterday, and I really appreciated hearing you. And it was your comment about when you spoke with Rick Berman about the choice of not having the sexual complications of being the first captain. To be honest, I was like, that was such a bad decision. That was my first reaction.
I'm going to have to stop you because everybody take a good look at this man who is young, attractive, and full of testosterone. Yes, but do go on.
I thought about it more, and this morning, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, she's right. Because actually, for the most part, Picard, time and again, yes, he had his tryst moments, but even in the movies, it was always for the ship, and the crew. And you made that choice as the captain as well, so you're right.
You can't, you know, you can't, love is love. Right. Janeway's passion was for her crew.
Yeah.
And I think the loneliness of command is also a beautiful thing to watch. I mean that. So that's the sacrifice.
So my question is...
If you, yes,
and I'm not as young as I look. I'm 40, and I'm a gay man.
You're young.
So I wanted you might be talking out of school, but going back a little bit to the previous question about the relationship between Janeway and Seven, I had read online rumors that there was floated the idea of a lesbian relationship. And as... hey.
See? Sex. You'll take it any way you can get it.
True.
How the hell would I get her clothes off? Did you see that uniform?
You know, among my lesbian friends, they'd be like, that'd be no problem. I'll figure it out.
Oh, I'm sure.
But as a gay man, I really don't care about pillow fights in the bedroom or whatever, so I was like...
You just care about sex.
Yeah. No, but what I thought it made sense for Janeway being her next Borg queen. You're worse than I am.
Oh no, I'm not. What, do you have a final thing you want to ask me? What is it?
Was it floated?
Was it floated? Every word out of his mouth is just dripping with sexual innuendo. Was it floated?
Was that story topic discussed?
No, it was not discussed. God, can you imagine?
I thought
Not about being gay or not gay, but can you imagine the ship? What a mess! No, but thank you for thinking of us both. Yes, sir.
I always felt like Janeway was unique among the Star Trek captains and that she had some really great one-liners. My favorite is at the end of Year of Hell where she says, "Time's up." Do you have
If
a
only
favorite,
that had been true. We had 18 more hours. Yes, go on.
do you have a favorite dramatic moment or line that you got to deliver?
You know, I loved Engaged. I loved Red Alert. And I loved Don't Ask. Just Do It. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you're all sitting. You're so sweet. Yes. Yes. Oh, you're nice.
Okay. I have always, the word that's always come to mind in watching your performances, Janeway, was formidable. There has never been any doubt in my mind that your character was a command position, that you held that to no end. And the fact that you embrace your position as one of the Starfleet captains makes the fans so happy. So we always want to know, you guys care about the roles you play, and you've answered that. What I want to know is if you could design a role outside of Janeway, outside of Star Trek, that would be the epitome of a role that you could play. What would that kind of role be? Because I love what you bring to every role you've played.
It's lovely to
So
say.
if you were to make it up.
But I just played that role. And her name was Cleopatra. And that was a lifelong dream, which I fulfilled.
Good point.
Just under the wire. But this was a great, great queen, right? Unparalleled, unprecedented, and fantastic to play it. So, to answer your question,
You already did it.
right.
Okay.
But if I had to go back in time and you said Janeway or Cleopatra to play again and again and again, I'd pick Janeway, right? Because Janeway was mine. Do you understand that? She emanated from me. It was a marriage that happened between us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, madam.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thank
You have great flowing hair.
you. Thank you. My question pertains to
Yes, what is it?
my question pertains to the episode Night.
Can you come a bit closer to the mic?
My question pertains to the episode Night.
Night.
And Janeway basically retreated into her quarters for
Loved that episode.
I,
I did. That's the loneliness of command. What's your question?
well, it just seemed it almost painted Janeway as having an almost clinical depression.
I didn't like that episode. No, it didn't. I mean, it did. Right. Who am I? Of course, you're right. It was one episode out of how many in 7 seasons to exemplify and probably to really overdraw, emphasize the loneliness of command. How many years had we been lost by then?
4.
4 years. My lover had written to say that he was moving on and taking the dog with him. And I knew then it was all over. I was never to marry. I was never to bear children. Never to bear children. Never to love a man. So I said to Rick Berman, give me just one episode showing the people what excruciating cost that must be. Because it is not a face I could have presented to anyone in the crew, with the possible exception of Tuvok. Perhaps Chakotay. But it was important. Don't you think it was important? It fleshed her out. This was not a superhuman person. If anything, I hope the legacy of Janeway is deep humanity. That's why I love that crew so much. Does that answer your question?
Well, it just seemed, if you could also take into the consideration the book, was it Mosaic? which also mentioned her depression after Justin and her father's death. It just seemed
I did not approve that book.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. You don't think there's loneliness in Barack Obama's quarters at night? You don't think the man is intensely lonely? My God. The entire world, you know, leadership of that, on that level is just, I don't think that we can understand it. It's just a delightful thing to play, and I tried to measure it, and I tried to deepen it, and I tried to find it, but real leadership has unspeakable cost to it. Trust me. Our president has made endless sacrifices and continues to do so. Yes?
Did you have any military exposure or background in your earlier past to give you some feelings or insights on how to play Captain Janeway from a military perspective?
Well, madam, let me put it to you this way. I was one of 8 children, and my father was Irish Catholic,
Okay.
and he flew B-52s in the war, okay? So it was a military
You got
household laced with lunacy, liquids, and love. When you're the oldest of 8 children, I have an older brother, but I was the oldest girl. Believe me, your mother expects you to bark those orders and get that done. So at the age of 5, I was telling the little ones what to do. At the age of 10, I was making the meals. At the age of 12, I was holding a gun. I mean, you just have to get them into line, right? I can't go on with this.
Well, you did an excellent job. I wanted to tell you, I'm a retired Navy captain.
Are you?
And when I was...
Let's give her a hand. This is a real thing. Congratulations, and may I say, thank you very much for your service, madam.
Thank you. While I was still doing service, my daughter and I would watch Voyager. And there were times, not very many times, I would just kind of snort and say, huh, we wouldn't do it like that. But 90% of the time, I would say, that's exactly how it should be done, especially by a female captain. That's how we need to be. And you really set the stage for all of us who were, I was a very young captain, very an early officer.
And what is your name?
Johnny Morgan. I'm Captain Morgan.
Captain Johnny Morgan. Please come forward. Thank you very, very much. These are the kinds of things that happen to me that are just out of this world. Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you. I can do that.